I mean, it's as ready as will be. So I think it's exciting. It's you don't launch massive new simulators like this often. It's been 4 years. We've been working on it for many years. We have a huge team, and the focus is let's make the best possible experience for the consumers for the 19th, and that's what everybody's focused on. And there's lots and lots of things still going on, as you can probably imagine. But yeah, we feel good. We feel like we have something that really takes us forward in the hobby. So hopefully everybody will agree. I'm sure we're going to find some stuff that doesn't work perfectly, like when we kind of fully expect that. And I saw you on a stream the other day, which I thought it was a very wise stream. There was like 4 or 5 of you guys chatting about things, and I thought you guys had the right tone with the right perspective. So yeah, I think the community seems ready, and I think the framework is good, and I think we'll have something awesome that ushers in hopefully a new era in our hobby. I think it's just at some point or another, we did something like this for 2020, I think. Like, and I think people, from what I remember, the feedback was quite mixed. Like people, because as you know, simmers are very detail oriented. They give they give you lots of input in very specific things. And if you look at our journey over the last few years, we've seen that we've done sim updates for I don't know how many years, 16 of them or 15 at least. And I think that's kind of how I think about the entire project and how the team feels. It's such a vast thing. You will never really be done because we will always get questions for improvements. And at some point, it's just ready to go. And you have to focus a team on a thing, right? It's very, very important when you a project like this where we brought together, it's obviously Asobo is the what I think of as the kernel team, but there's so many other teams, and you really need to focus people on finishing something. And you end up picking a date. To the best of your abilities, you pick a date and you push everybody to work on the date, and everybody brings their A game for that moment. And if you look at my life right this moment, like what did I do this morning or what did I do yesterday? Yeah, it's final fixes from some plane makers want to go tweak some stuff and airport makers want to tweak some things. So there's like this myriad of improvements. And for me, it's a moment in time. So the launch, just like the what's going to follow the launch. The launch is a moment in time. Hopefully it's a delightful moment in time, and it will bring people in. It creates a certain type of energy. And then we will address things as they come. Here, listen to the community like we've done for years now, and make improvements as we go. I mean, so the game as a service that we have in 2020 is not because we didn't want to finish. It's because the world doesn't stop. That's
Yeah.
really what's happening, right? So when we started in 2020, I think we had a few hundred cities from Bing at a certain state. Some of them were as old as 2015, so the camera tech was, quite different then. But that's what we had, and that's what we launched, and we made it, I think, shine as well as one could in the simulator that we had. But when you look at it now, for example, we just started. I mean, you were at the Grand Canyon. You saw what's possible, and do we have that for the whole planet or something? Well, no, it's nobody does. I mean, that's the thing. Like nobody does. This is data that will have to get made, and oftentimes, and actually, I think we should all take some. I take some pride in it, and I think we all should. Flight Sim is actually driving quite a bit of this, right? So when people say, "Hey, can you go make a World Update Brazil?" I'm like, I agree. Then I go talk to some people at Bing or something, and I'm like, hey, how about Brazil? And they're like, well, it's not really what we want to focus on. We need to focus on this. So then we end up for Flight Sim, do specific things, and we add to the substance of what Bing has. And I think that's going to be a consistent theme for years to come, where we will go into places that are maybe not so well trotted, but not just North America and Europe, and explore. And that data will come in, and we have plans. I mean, there's plans. I stopped at 28, not for any particular reason, but as like I try to wrap my head around something. So I think I said that at the Flight Sim Expo, even in Vegas. I said, I think where my planning horizon ends right now is World Update 38. We're currently at World Update 19. So that tells you something, and then there's city updates. We're at number 9 right now. I think I want to forget. It's like 28 or something. And that might change because we might get more cities. And then there's something I'm thinking about because I saw some new data come in and it's really cool. And that's basically, maybe we call it countryside update or something. I don't know yet, but we have like these scans of certain really cliffy type of islands and stuff. It literally looks awesome. But could we get it all done November 19th, 2024? No, it just came in. Then we need to process and we need to do a bunch of stuff to it. And it'll probably take a year or so before this is even ready. But so there's that. Then there's animals. Do we have ambitions? Would I like to involve this? I do, because I think it's locally important. Animals, many of them are not worldwide. So then you're like, okay, do we want to do something here? If we want to do some specific update, add something. We talked about similar things for ships, because ships tend to be local. We make airports already in POI, so that's just going to continue. So all this is just going to continue, and we're going to refine the world as we go. And as I said, right now I'm thinking that the next 4 years. I'm very curious. Like so right now we have roughly 50 centimeter satellite imagery for the whole world. There is some talk that might improve a little, not like dramatically because it's satellites and they fly high, but there are examples of better satellite imagery. So then it's a question, can we get that? Can we get it worldwide, or do we do it in patches? Like, what is the actual situation? So I think that will evolve and that will help, right? So because that's the base texture. Now I think I want to say the Sobo graphics team has done an awesome job. Like, it really is just mind-blowingly good when the way materials are applied to all the surfaces. It's shocking. Like I'm still like, wow, how did that work? I was telling someone I was just in Karls am Großglockner the other day, which is in Austria. It's where I used to go as a kid on vacation, and I haven't been there, I don't know, 30 years. And yeah, it looks exactly what I remember, like exactly, like down to the tree almost. Like obviously I haven't been there in 30 years, but it is so well realized that I think that's based on partially on the base data and also partially on biomes. So there's something even with biomes where we might going to evolve some more things. So I think, as I always said, like even at the outset, so my instinct back in 2016 or something was the world is full of sensors and all we're going to get is better and more data. That is the path we're on, Like, I remember when I said, oh, there's sensors on my car, there's sensors on my front door, there's sensors on my phone, there's sensors in the air. Since then, we've seen sort of more and more drones being used, and I'm very curious about drones because you can fly so much lower. The whole rule set, well, it's sometimes hard, for us to get into, say, a national park in Namibia or something. It is actually kind of hard because you need to hire a flyer, you have to hire a plane, you have to hire a pilot, you have to bring a sensor, you have to fly over there, there needs to be enough fuel. It's actually a real complicated thing to get some of these scans. That might change a little over the years here as those long range drones, you could equip those with sensors. So I've seen some experiments. It's not ready or anything for production, but I believe we're on this path of scanning our planet and get more and more data available. And that's in part why I'm really also so excited about the architectural change that we made. Like our sim was heavy when we launched, and when you look at all the data we've had, we launched with 125 gig, and that seemed big then. Back in the day, people say, "Oh my God, 125 gig." They don't say that anymore about 125 gig because we have moved on. But now with all the world updates, I actually don't know the number, but I bet you we're somewhere around 400 plus gig. And just project that out. We're very much, and that's not before we change any texture resolution. So we're going to go into the many terabyte products, which is becoming unwieldy. So this whole change to go put more emphasis on the cloud, right? Not just the planet, but like literally almost everything. It enables us to do so much more. And ultimately, the one thing we both know is we're not going to say, let's do less. Nobody says that. Everybody says, let's do more detail, better textures, more of this, more of that, more of that. And people want to be creative. So I think now we are in a place where we can be the vessel for inclusion is much greater because we can put it on the cloud. It doesn't have to be on the local machine with some gigantic download. The other thing I love about it, sorry if I keep rambling, but the other thing I really love about it is I oftentimes look at this when you get like a huge download. I just downloaded a game that was large, and am I really ever going to see all that? The answer is definitely not. And specifically in game or a sim like ours, yeah, you download, let's just say Charles de Gaulle, and maybe you and I fly to Charles de Gaulle a lot, and fine. But like, what if it's an airport that you know have no intention to ever go to, and it's 2-3 gigs, and guess what? You're downloading it no matter what. The old scheme is you download whatever somebody decided you download. Nowadays, it's like you download exactly what you need. I try to explain it to like my wife and people like that, and I said, just imagine we want to watch an episode of Netflix on Netflix, and we have to download all of Netflix. Just imagine. Everybody say that's the dumbest thing ever. I was like, yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think the thin thing is great. The fact that it's really streaming on demand to really only what you want and need is much better. It's not that many. I would say it's probably 5. So there's the stuff that we do for ourselves, just for flights. We're the impetus of gathering data. Um, Bing does do their own things. Like they're parallel paths. We happen to merge and collaborate, so that's cool. But yeah, I think it's probably about 5. There was a moment in time because I couldn't get anybody to bite to fly to South America, and I was like, "Come on, people! Like the Brazilians really want these cities. What the heck?" And people are like, "Well, the camera is $1 million, and do we really want to send our cameras down there?" Oh, it's $1 million. Oh yeah, yeah, and we don't own any, but so you rent them and stuff. But anyways, we have a partner. The main partner is Vexel. They're actually really great guys, and they actually flew to Brazil just for us. And I was like, come on, stay down there, do some more stuff. And that's really how this goes. I'm trying to convince people because it's their business, it's their intentions, they are pilots in the end, and they have to negotiate with the ATC. I mean, the thing that delayed our Brazil update in many ways was getting the plane down there and then waiting for the weather and for the ATC to say yes. Because the ATC has to grant you permission to fly little zigzag paths over these cities, right, for days on end. And that sometimes is complicated. They're like, what are you doing with our city? What? So, and they're responsible for the air traffic. So they have to make sure that the air traffic is not disrupted. Yeah, we said the vast majority will work, and so what we did just in the last few weeks, I basically pinged all of our, I call them first party, but obviously teams out of the community that happen to work with Microsoft, so we have a little bit closer relationship. We know each other a little bit better. I asked them, hey, can you please test your own products that you just did for yourselves, and how's it look? And I got, I don't know, 40 maybe emails from teams that tell me, and some of them are saying, I tested my 5 planes, everything works great. No questions asked. And then some people say, well, this material on the windshield is a little bit too scratchy, or hey, the pilot position is outside the plane, or hey, the particle effect is attached to the wrong node. Those types of things that are, some of them are systemic and some of them are because, let's just say, people have custom solutions. Let's call it custom solutions. Custom solutions are tougher because there's no rhyme or reason how they were done. And I have 3 emails in my inbox from last night, actually, where I got pinged by partners, and they said, "Hey, Jorg, um, do, we would like a few weeks to fix our stuff because we saw what's going on now in the sim. It's not hard. I mean, I've not ever heard that the flight model doesn't work or anything like that. There's nothing like that, but it's sort of visually type of things and some polish type of stuff. And so they asked me, can we get 2 or 3 weeks of time to fix it, and then either do a proper 2024 release and or update our 2020 plane, then it would come in. And there's a meeting in an hour that I'm going to have with Martial and Eric, and the discussion will be, should we or should we not turn on the marketplace? because people who own stuff already, like that's our job, make it as backwards compatible as you possibly can, not knowing what they might have coded, right? So there's some stuff we're like, okay, well, I don't know how they did that. But so far I feel like I think we are very close to what we promised, which is full backwards compatibility. It's not like there's planes falling from the sky or the airports don't work or something like that. There's none of that stuff. But if our partners are, so we had actually made a decision, like if the partner has to say it's okay to sell something, like we are not going to sell anything, certainly in the realm that we have some sort of control over, which is the marketplace. If the partner doesn't give us the okay, we're not doing it. If the partners feel like the experience is substandard to their brand or their creation, I don't want this to be around. So we're actually talking about, this is going to be a serious conversation today. I might actually say something in that plane meeting that we have later with Hans. There's a stream where we showed that Hans's two planes off. I might say something. It hasn't been decided, but I'm leaning toward not having the marketplace on for a few weeks. So new customers, because the way I think about it is like, okay, we have this big launch, and it's going to be lots of promotion about our hobby, and then new people come in, and they're excited, and they buy something. And if they buy something and the pilot sits outside of the plane, what are they going to think? They're either going to think not so highly of the developer and say, well, that's a shoddy product, or they get an overall sense that the sim is not great. And was like, okay, well, I don't want either one of those is bad. So I actually think we should probably prevent that. But I don't want to just isolate and sit there in isolation, make some Jorg only decisions. So so I had the input from people, and the people are asking us to delay. And then we have to, I mean, it's easy enough for us to turn this thing off, right? No problemo. I need the team to be all aligned. This is an interview the days before we launch, right? So it's very much those are the decisions we have to make. What's right for every filter is what's right for the consumer. Every filter is, okay, let's put ourselves in the people's minds. What do they see? How is that perceived? Let's do the right thing, and then explain what we're doing. Yeah, they need to sit on a server. So it's basically, that's the problem, right? So there's a couple of things. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Like for us to stream, we need to stream it from an infrastructure, right? So we put it in what we call a sort of a CDIS. I forget the acronym. Anyway, so put it on a server blob, and it gets streamed down. But at that moment in time, it needs to be validated. That's the first thing. And if it's not in our realm, we don't know anything about it. Like we have no idea. If somebody puts something in their community folder, we're not looking at their computers, what's loaded on their computers, but we do know what sits on the server. So we have some control. So in that particular case, it's just the nature of the beast. It's not, there was no strategic decision or something, let's do it this way. It's actually the only way we know how to make this work. I mean, I actually don't know. I have to go ask some people. Like, there's a career service that's an online thing. I wonder what would happen, because basically it's FLT files that you define some of the career parameters in. I wonder what would happen if you just move it to your community folder. I actually don't know. So I know that I think you even had a discussion with David back at the Grand Canyon, right? So I don't know. We have to investigate a little. It was honestly, it was enough of a mountain to climb to get it all done. It is by far the biggest thing I've ever worked on. There's no question about it. I mean, it's crazy town, but it's a good crazy. Like it is really, it really does fulfill the dream. I actually would go back to Bruce Artwick, right? Like I would actually say we're getting closer and closer to the dream the man had back in the late 70s. And, so we finally have the world. You can finally live the private pilot lifestyle. It is very open to the community, as you know. I think this is great. So we'll evolve it over time. We'll figure it out. I mean, look, hey, man, we have weapons now. You saw that, right? Like, so there was enough feedback. The thing that kicked me over the edge, I do want to give credit where credit is due. Barry from Airplane Heaven. Like, I was like, hey, man, I'm really excited about your Lancaster thing. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put this in the marketplace. It just doesn't look right. And I'm listening to the man and his team putting passion into this thing for years. And I'm like, who am I to judge? So we checked all of our contracts, and there actually wasn't anything. There was only one, and we talked to the people, and it was fine. So we now have a new marketplace agreement, and it says something like, as long as it's authentic and appropriate. Yeah, because that's what we're after here with simulation. Like, we're trying to just do it. It needs to feel correct to what the real world counterpart is. So I'm happy about the decision. I hope the community celebrates this as you've been heard. We've changed our ways, so it's good, and I think we're going to continue to be that way. I hope so. I mean, honestly, we prototyped it, and it was a year ago. There was some positive signals coming out of the team that did that. Yeah, so I actually I have never seen it. I've never played it. That's the right way to say it. But I've seen it, and I've seen it streamed. It looked cool. It's all about synchronization, actually. That's the actual problem. Yeah, it's easy enough to have like two people doing some stuff, but it needs to be the glass cockpit actually need to be in lockstep. Like all needs to be the same. So there was some technical issues behind it, but I mean, we heard the community is, I don't know. I mean, the community feedback is not some joke, right? The community feed snapshot is what we're looking at. Like that we have meetings on this stuff, right? So I haven't. It's my fault. I haven't updated it in I don't know how many weeks. It's been so busy, but I fully intend to update the snapshot again. We'll listen again. We'll prioritize appropriately. It seems technically doable. If it's technically doable, then it's just a question of time. The replication does work. So that we're not that far from that thing. I don't know if we can, animate or something like that. There's like everything, devil is in the detail, but look, we all live the same dream. Okay. I think we have a new platform that I feel great about as far as the future for the hobby, and let's pour our heart in it, and then we'll get something awesome.